The Mom View is brought to you by Moms for America in partnership with the Herzog Foundation, empowering moms and championing Christian education nationwide.
There was a TV show called Jericho that came out several years ago. It now is considered an icon, and lots of people watch it to find out what's going to actually happen if there's an EMP and suddenly there's no electricity. Well, you get to find out when you watch Jericho. You can still see it on Netflix, and I think you can see it on Amazon too. And you can find out what it's like when you, as an individual in a community, suddenly have to fend for yourself. Today, we have a special guest on the show, David Tice, who's going to be talking to us about his film, Grid Down, Power Up. What do you do when the lights go down? We'll be right back. Back on the Mom View. This is a really exciting show for me because our family has been working on our zombie apocalypse survival team for some time. And today we're going to be talking about why you need to create your own zombie apocalypse survival team, who should be on it, and what we should be prepared for. So, David, I want to welcome you to our couch. Excited to have you here. Love this film. We've all seen it. And I guess my first question is, why? Why did you make the film?
Well, first, let me say how proud I am and honored to be here with you beautiful ladies for this great Moms for America network. The amazing things you guys are doing for the country and your leadership with this organization. So I did this film because, frankly, I realized a few years ago I was a NASA grandfather because my grandkids were 4, 3, 2, 1. Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem because of this vulnerability of our power grid, our critical civilian infrastructure. It's not just a power grid, also our municipal water systems, our wastewater systems, etc. And we have protected our command control centers and our missile systems against EMP and against cyber attacks. But you know what? We civilians, with our chain link fence protected substations, is pathetic. And frankly, that's why we need to get moms in an outrage and soccer dads to say, let's better protect our critical civilian infrastructure, because as many as 90% of Americans could die if we lose our power for an extended period of time across the nation.
So you the whole Dallas thing, what happened in Texas a couple of years ago was a perfect example of what happens and how people are just not prepared for not having electricity.
So actually, Kimberly, that's interesting, and that was Winter Storm Uri, and we lost 250 people, and it was bad. A lot of people had to go to hotels or sleep in, a sleeping bag, but the power came back. I'm talking about something much more severe than that. And we're talking about months, if not years. And therefore, you mentioned zombie apocalypse. It really is zombie apocalypse without the zombies. But unfortunately, individuals need water every 3 days, food 3 weeks. And therefore, if our municipal water systems aren't working, then we're in horrific shape, and lots of people are going to die. And what's the tragedy about this is that this is highly fixable. There is technology out there. We know how to protect our power grid, and we haven't done enough about it. Now, Congress has tried to do some things about it, but frankly, our public utilities in the aggregate and our regulators have let us down. And therefore, I like to invoke the memory of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers that essentially created this outrage. And we ended up, having a movement, and therefore we have really helped fix, drunk drivers, as a massive issue. Obviously, it's still there. But we need grid warriors that will sign up And we have a facility on our website at griddownpowerup.com that allows you, just with a few clicks of your mouse, to write letters and make phone calls and sign petitions and get our regulators, our legislators, both state and federal, as well as our members of board of directors of our public utilities to take this issue more seriously.
I don't even think, do any of us even think about that? We get up in the morning, we use our hair dryer, we just move on. I mean,
I have a question too, because and this is exactly on what you're saying. There was a report on 60 Minutes that revealed that it would only take 9 power stations to close down U.S. Is that right?
Wow.
Something like this, 9 power stations, and we're just incapacitated.
Just 9.
So this was a FERC report, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And in fact, it was an ex-chairman of that commission. And he kind of got in trouble because he revealed that.
Revealed it, yeah.
And it's frankly just key nodes, that would have to be taken out. So it's not any nine
who
stations.
runs it? I mean, so when we talk about the power grid, I mean, we pay our electric bills, so we pay them to the different companies. But who regulates it? Is it the federal government that's responsible for it? Is it the state governments? Is it a collective?
Yeah.
I mean, how does it even? Who do we go to?
Okay, so that's one of the issues. Is it's highly complicated, and so there
Shouldn't be.
Great.
yeah. Well, there are state PUCs, public utility commissions, and then so there's really 3 parts to the power grid. There's generation, and then there's transmission, and then there's distribution. And so
we're paying for the distribution.
yes, well, we eventually are paying
pay
for
for
the
all of it, don't
generation
we?
as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're paying for the whole
For all
thing.
of it.
So
Because our taxes and like the money that's allocated supposed to be from our state legislature all the way down to your local municipalities are supposed to be able to take care of all of this as part of the Board of County Commission. That's what their job is. They're supposed to build, rebuild, and
That's why
maintain your
we elect
infrastructure.
those people.
Right, but if you don't understand that as the electorate, and they definitely don't understand that because all they want to do is just be elected and rule over you, you have to be the person to say, look, this is what is in danger if this happens. We need to focus on this and less on all of these other things that are happening and make sure that our infrastructure is sound because in case there is a disaster or an EMP, we're not having this apocalypse, anarchy apocalypse. Instead of a zombie apocalypse, it would be an anarchy apocalypse. So
Yeah, and we always affectionately call it the zombie apocalypse. We know what it actually means.
Yes.
It means people are hungry and they get angry. It means
Yes.
they can't use their hair blower and they don't have toilet paper. That's what it means. People
Anarchy.
become zombies.
That's crazy.
Well, okay, so if all of these different governmental agencies are responsible for it, who do we as moms, as citizens, go to make them aware that we're aware and we want it to be taken care of?
well, the great thing about our website under the Participate tab, which is top right corner of griddownpowerup.com.
Lucky makes it easy for us.
We have made it really easy.
That's
for
good.
you. And we actually have 7 different outreaches. One of them will outreach to your state's public utility chairman. And we have gone through and we found the right chairman. So there's also something called FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. There are 5 commissioners, and then NERC, North American Electricity Reliability Corporation. And it has 12 trustees. And these governmental agencies are responsible for regulating more the national focus. But we have composed letters for those people as well as for your 2 state legislators, your U.S. congressperson, your 2 U.S. senators, also your governor, and then also members of board of directors of your
That is,
major.
you know what? I
That's
love it when
incredibly
people
easy.
make it easy for us.
Yes.
Tell us exactly what we need to do that's going to make a
Our
difference.
moms are busy. We have
Yeah.
if we can't easily
Yeah.
find it and click a button. I don't know if it's
Right. No, I love that you're
I
doing
was just going to ask, why is this not more of a priority for our government? And what would, like a President Trump or Biden or any of these, our former presidents, what have they done to protect us and protect the grid?
What's interesting there is that there have been some bills that have passed Congress, and we talk about that inside our film.
Right.
We had President Trump was outraged when he learned about EMP back in 2015 at the Iowa caucus, and he said, I'm going to fix this. In 2019, he passed an executive order that was codified into law into 2020, the National Defense Authorization Act. But unfortunately, there's all this delegation that goes out to Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security. There's the regulators play a role, and unfortunately, there's so much bureaucracy and ineptitude, along the way, that we did not get follow through. Actually, President Obama was worried about solar storms, and this is called geomagnetic disturbance. That's one of 4 threats that we talked about in
In
our
the film. Yeah, I want to talk about those 4 threats because nobody really understands like the part of the natural where the power goes down, the power comes back up.
Right.
What you talk about in the film is what is it that creates such a debilitating situation that we don't know when we're ever going to get it back up. So what were those 4 things you talked about?
Okay, so in our film, we talk about 4 threats. One, we mentioned EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse attack, which is essentially gamma waves.
And that's
that
like a
can-
terrorist attack you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Person is a country or organization is purposely doing this.
Yes. So for those 4 threats, I'm going to talk about 3 coming from state actors or terrorist organizations. The 4th is a natural.
Okay.
So those 3 to start with: EMP, a nuclear blast in the atmosphere, 20 kilometers to 200 kilometers in the air. And so it doesn't cause any damage on the ground, but these waves of gamma waves come out and it will knock out sensitive electronics. And so this has been a bit of almost, people think it's like science fiction, but we show in the movie the prior vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, John Hyten, and he said, this EMP is a real threat. It will take out sensitive electronics, things such as power grids. And he said, we in the Defense Department have protected our missile systems, our command control centers. But he said, critical civilian infrastructure, not so much.
That's terrible.
It's
That
terrible.
gives a whole new meaning to nuclear warfare.
Yeah, well, and they don't care about the everyday person, which is why I think this whole America First agenda is being pushed forward, is because we have elected representatives who no longer understand their proper roles and responsibilities of the seats in which they sit in, and they have relegated or given away their authority that we've given them by electing them to serve us. They've given it away to these 3-letter agencies that are not regulated. They do whatever they want. They come up with their own ideas of things, and they implement them in a way that protects them and not we the people, the people that help them, every day. It's just,
So
it's
what
sad.
are the other 2 state or terrorist threats?
Okay, so the second one is the cyber attack. And so essentially, there can be embedded malware. And if your moms have seen the movie Leave the World Behind. So this was a big Netflix movie. It came out the day after Pearl Harbor Day. Julia Roberts was paid $25 million for that film.
The Obama's pretty.
Just the
Yeah,
Obama-
they
the
produced it and then
Obama-
raised,
Right.
considered to raise Joe Biden money.
But essentially what people don't think about with a cyber attack is they showed 3 different examples of airplanes were crashing.
Right.
Also, oil tankers came up on shore, and then there was the
Wow.
example of Tesla's crashing.
Right.
So you don't really think about, essentially the microprocessors can have embedded malware, and then they can receive signals to be able to make,
seems like the scariest for me.
make
It
things
is
happen.
scary.
Bad things happen. So that could happen inside the grid. In fact, Angus King, senator, we show him in the film. He testified in front of Congress saying that our adversaries are already in the grid.
You
Oh,
said
yeah.
you said the U.S. is already under attack.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
China already hasn't they, don't they already own some of it or have
Access to it?
access to our grid?
Well, they certainly have, access. And
Access, not
another,
all, yeah.
another quick example, Jennifer Granholm, current Secretary of Energy under Joe Biden, she was interviewed on a Sunday morning talk show, and she was asked specifically, could our bad guy adversaries take down our grid? And she said affirmatively, yes.
Wow. That's
People really need to see this
That's a scary
film.
They did it.
I know we've all seen it, and we're like, "Did you see it? Did you see it?" Yeah. What did you learn from it? So when we come back, I want to talk about the solution. There, you said it is fixable. I want to talk about the solutions, and what we've all learned after watching the film. What are we now doing differently? Because I'll just tell you, we have been preparing for our zombie apocalypse for a long time in our family, and after watching the film, I'm like, oh, we need to readjust some of our preparations because it was very eye-opening, the various different things that could happen. So we'll talk about the other two threats and the solutions when we come back. We'll be right back on the Mom View.
The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education so that families and culture flourish. To do so, we've created comprehensive programs designed for Christian schools across the nation. One of those programs is found at readlion.com. The Lion carries news articles covering issues especially related to the education of children. These are timely, critical, must-read articles for families, educators, and leaders. Another program is the Herzog Foundation Institute, where we provide training for Christian educators led by national thought leaders in subjects such as marketing, donor development, and culture building. All training events are fully funded by the Herzog Foundation. And finally, with new Christian schools popping up all over the country, we've created a free online resource to help with the process. HF Schoolbox provides lessons and free mentorship to help launch groups navigate the startup process every step of the way. We're the Herzog Foundation. You can find out more at herzogfoundation.com.
So if you haven't seen this film, I highly encourage it. We've got this great clip just to give you an idea of what you'll see. We'll play it right now.
The electricity grid goes down. You're back in the 1880s, pre-electricity.
If 1,000 transformers are knocked out, we'll end up with massive social disruption.
Top former energy official claims an attack on an American power grid was terrorism.
Virtually every study you'll see has an anarchistic component that leads to rioting. It is almost inevitable.
Imagine what will happen if there is no food, no power, and no money, and no transportation. Only people with guns and the boldness to go and take what they need to survive will live.
It could literally end civilization as we know it.
Cyber attack, an EMP, even a massive solar flare. They're all capable of exposing our power grid as America's Achilles heel.
Of particular concern to me are people who believe it's God's will to destroy us.
Our electric power grids are as vulnerable to cyber attack as the thousands upon thousands of businesses, companies, government agencies that have already been hacked over the last few months.
It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when.
We spend $800 billion on our military.
And we're not willing to spend 50 to 100 billion to protect our society?
An EMP pulse is a very dangerous threat. If you're not nuclear hardened, it will shut down any digital computer that is operating in the range of the EMP.
Other countries have appointed a single champion to be in charge of protecting their electric grids.
We know what needs to be done. It's just a matter of a will to do it.
Choose power up, not grid down.
Yeah.
Wow.
My
goodness, chills. Like
when I saw the film, I mean, it starts out, right away. You feel the emotion of what are you gonna do when that happens. And when I got to I will tell you, when I got to the end of the movie, I was very angry.
Right.
I was very angry because they know those who are responsible for this know that this is a problem.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything about it. And I mean, I know my husband was in the military for almost 30 years. I know the power of cyber. That's what he was in. And this is a whole new kind of war. We will destroy ourselves from within if we allow this to happen.
Absolutely.
And this is like that the part he said about the military, where we spend this much money for the military and we won't spend a portion of that to protect our grid. So what are the solutions that you offer in the film?
Okay, so one of the things we feel like we need a Manhattan Project. A lot of people saw the movie Oppenheimer, and we essentially defeated Imperial Japan by putting great
Germany.
And Germany, exactly. Great science and engineering to work. We need that to better protect what we have, and that's not that complicated because there's technology out there available that's being utilized right now by certain companies to protect against cyber, to protect against physical attack, EMP as well as GMD. We need a grid czar. We need somebody that's what Manhattan Project had. Matt Damon played the role. General Leslie Groves, and so that's what we need. Somebody,
a grid czar.
They've got every other kind of czar. Why don't we have that, Dave? That's right.
somebody that will break heads, knock down doors, and get stuff done.
Right.
You know, so that's one of the things that we need. In the second part of the Manhattan Project, we have a grid that needs to be tripled in size by 2040, and frankly, it's been around 70 years. There's all this question about how much solar and wind we use, how much nuclear we use, do we need more microgrids, et cetera. I think we need the best scientists and engineers in the country to do this massive project, thinking through our better grid. But it's got to be better protected with technology that
Do we
have
already
right
have
now.
these scientists that are there? We're just not engaging them? Or do
Yes,
we need them?
they're out there. We need to engage them.
Okay.
But we actually have a petition. It'll be powerup.com/petition, and you can ask for this Manhattan Project. I think that is going to be a great thing to do.
Wow.
But there's technology available, something called neutral ground blockers that can be incorporated for as little as $4 billion nationwide that would protect against what's called
We flush that
E3.
much down the toilet.
I
Yeah.
mean,
We
we've
ought to be
given
able
more
to-
than that to
Yeah.
Ukraine, so and
Oh,
we put
let's just
more of
talk
that
about
into
that.
right. Well, we put more of that into a lot of our colleges are more concerned about gender studies than they are about engineering.
Right.
So it almost feels like this has been something that has been cultivated and done on purpose to further cripple the American way of life. Which is quite scary, and when you watch the film, and that's why you're so upset at the end of it, because you're just like, these people know what they're talking about.
Well,
they know
of
what
course,
they're
because
doing.
we have the enemy in the house.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. The enemy is in the house. The enemy's in the house, guys. What are you going to do about it? This is your republic. Are you going to sit by and just let it be flushed down the toilet? Or are you going to get involved and go to his website and fill out the petition and petition your government like you're supposed to?
So, Kimber,
We waste so much money. The government wastes so much money that it's just always baffling when they don't put it into necessary.
You know, we have the kitchen table lobby.
situations like this.
Yes.
This is a perfect opportunity,
perfect.
the kitchen table lobby,
Absolutely.
for an issue that's going to protect our children, our families, our homes.
Right. Yeah.
I was so excited to get involved with Moms for America because it is you patriotic, tireless moms.
Mama
citizens. And I've said from the very beginning, I need mama bears.
Yes.
and to
Don't
be
make us come down
with
there.
you guys. Yeah.
With our claws out.
You need that grid protected. The mamas are going to come and protect you. Watch out, everybody.
And it is protecting your kids and your
It
grandkids.
is.
It
That's
is.
exactly what it's about.
Which is the future of our nation. If
Yeah.
we don't protect our most vulnerable, then
Yeah, and this, so one of the things about the film is, this isn't just about a hairdryer not working.
Right.
This isn't about the power went down, we're going to use our candles until it comes back up. This is about fires, floods. I mean, people don't understand how much is attached to our electrical system. And when you start talking about planes falling out of the air and ships, I mean, the trains.
That's scary.
It's very scary.
And it's months and even a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's, how do you, so my big question for all of us is, when you watch the film, weren't you as angry as me? What was your big takeaway? I mean, are you planning differently? Are you thinking differently? Are you like, I want to do something about this? How did it impact you?
Well, for example, I live in rural Arizona. I have a solar system, right? And I thought I was going towards the right direction. I have a well. My water comes from my own well, right? But I'm like, I watched this film and I'm like, I'll still be down. Like I'm not ready to not. I mean, Arizona, we're 114 today. In 3 hours, we didn't have power. What was it, last weekend? It went out for like 2 hours. And we were all complaining on Facebook. No, what in the world? And now it's complicated because I live in reservation area, so they own, like the reservation is in charge of our electricity. So you can complain all you want, they won't do anything. You know, so it's scary. It's very, very scary because I'm like, we're not ready. We're not ready, especially when we're living in a place where we reach 122 degrees and we live out of air conditioning, right? We're so used to that comfortable life that we're not ready. It scared me. It scared me. And that cyber attack's what scares me the most because there's been threats against us.
And they've already done it. It isn't even just a threat. They've actually done it. I mean, like I said, my husband was in the military for almost 30 years in cybersecurity. And I mean, he can't tell you, divulge personal information or specific information. But I can tell you that this threat is ongoing. Absolutely ongoing. Day to day, they're fighting it. So if they know, so what's your takeaway, Deb?
One, it's terrifying. And I hate to say that because it sounds so scary. Jesus is in control and, you know, he's got the whole world in his hands. But when you see it played out like that, you can't do anything but shudder. My husband's a prepper. We've been prepping. We have tons of powdered food and we have all of those things that, you know, that you can plan for. But the fact that it could actually happen, like I keep saying to my husband, stop buying all the powdered food, stop doing all the prepping. We got enough. But what if it actually did happen?
Yeah.
And what would that actually look like? So for me, it is terrifying, which makes me want to talk about it more.
Yeah.
Why we want to show this film, why we want to get this information out, because I don't know if people really think it can or if they just think it's Hollywood. Because Hollywood has made this just so palatable almost, you know? Hey, the world's ending, the world's ending, the world's ending. And I think we're kind of desensitized. Do you think so?
So we're certainly desensitized, but I want to comment on the fact that it is scary. And as a producer, I brought, you know, the viewers through a range of emotions where, you know, you almost can't believe it, and then you're surprised, and then you're outraged. And then you're scared. And then at the end of the film, though, we tried to say America has had their back up against our wall before. And we built a national highway system. We overcame racial segregation with the civil rights movement. We overcame Nazi Germany by converting our industrial economy to an arsenal of democracy. And therefore we can do this. So we have to get fired up and become, you know, mama bear grid warriors and, you know, write letters and send, you know, 50 email links to your friends and family and talk about this in your carpool line and say, you know, go to city council meetings and talk about your municipal water system and if it's dependent upon 100% on the grid. And if we invoke our patriotic, courageous spirit, we can overcome this.
I love that was in the film because it gives everybody something to look forward to. It reminds us of where we've been, what we've overcome, and the fact that we have that American ingenuity, we have that American spirit, that fighter spirit that lives in every single one of us, that we can actually do something about it if we take this righteous anger that we have at the end of this film and just put it to action, which is so important. I'm always, you know me, I'm very action-oriented, solutionary, and that is one of the, I think, the most important things I think that you put in the film was, one, taking everybody through that journey of emotions, right? Which is so important because that emotion can lead to action, and then having those action steps and reminding people where we've been and how far we've come is so important. So for us, I mean, we're definitely not prepared. I'm definitely not prepared for anything like that. Not even remotely close. But you know, just food, water, and munitions.
Well, I mean, I'm with Debbie. We've been prepping for years, and after watching this film, I was like, I'm not even close to being prepared. But then when I realized that you could fix it, you could make sure it doesn't happen. That's what got me going. I love that. Mama Bear Grid Warriors. We're gonna we have to coin that. Let's get some t-shirts. Mama Bear Grid Warriors.
More t-shirts, Brittany. More t-shirts.
Power up, Mama Bear.
Yes, power up. That's good one. I like it.
That's a good one, right?
We're all in. Okay, so we know what we can do to fix it. We be actively engaged and that kind of thing. But is there anything that we can do to prepare for it in case it does happen and they don't do their job?
So I would say, unfortunately, population density is not your friend.
Right.
And getting outside the city.
Outside the city.
Because even if you have a generator inside your town with some food, if you can't get out of the city and have a bolt hole, we call it, or a plan B, you're a lot better off.
So a bug out place.
Yes, a bug out place.
And passwords.
Yeah.
Teach your kids some safe, like the password, family password. So protection.
So do you think we need to talk to our kids about this?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I think so, especially just in the last year and a half, how the country has changed with essentially, we're in two theaters of war right now with Hezbollah, Hamas, Israel, and then with Ukraine and Russia.
Russia never stopped. Communism there's never been a stop on the communist war. We think that everything's at peace, but they've been constantly doing this, and they're just coming up with new ways to attack us. And I think this is a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely see that being a thing.
And the China-Taiwan issue, I think, is potentially waiting for some kind of resolution with Ukraine, Russia, but that's potentially coming. And therefore, as far as our kids, I had to sit down with my daughter and son-in-law, at the swimming pool on Father's Day. And I said, this is going to be tough. And they know about some of my views. And I've been considered kind of somebody that's thought about this for a while, but it is getting closer and closer and closer, in my opinion. And then you look at the open borders and the fact all these military-aged men that have come across the border, and the fact if we only had 100 sleeper cells in this country, the damage they could do. But what happens if it's between 30,000 and 100,000 sleeper cells? What they could do, and they would come after the power grid.
I'm so glad you came on the show, because this is something that we really need to talk about, and I definitely at Moms for America, we're going to promote this more. And as on the Mom View, I think this is something that we can continuously bring up, because being prepared for things to come is something that moms need to know. And being those courageous warriors to stand up for what we know can be handled right now to make sure it doesn't happen. Yeah. So we are definitely, I'm all in. You guys all in?
We're all in.
Okay.
We just asked
All
David
right. Well,
too,
thank you for coming. Yeah.
how people can see the movie.
So you can see the movie on YouTube right now. And it's free, real easily found, just under griddownpowerup.com. You can go to our website and find a link there as well. Okay. But we hope to soon be on Amazon. We're also...
Well, we're going to promote that. And what I really like the fact that we can just send people to YouTube and they can watch it.
Yeah.
It's that desperate, and I really appreciate you doing that. And we're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about what we as moms can do to prepare for times like that, and how we can prepare our children and our families. We'll be right back on the Mom View.
America is under attack. Our families are being crushed under the politics of a radical agenda. But moms have had enough. We are standing up, and we are fighting back.
This is our battle. This battle is every bit as important as the Revolutionary War, because we fight for the same thing.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
I think Moms for America is exactly on track and is doing the right thing for the future of our country and our children.
Like, Moms for America is going at the heart of the issue.
I want to go on the record and say I'm for moms, I'm for America, and I'm especially for Moms for America.
But I am honored to join Moms for America today as we speak out against the horrific mandates.
With a national network of over 500,000 mothers, Moms for America is one of the fastest growing movements of women in the country.
Well, the most dangerous place in all of nature is between a mama bear and her baby cub.
We are the change. No matter what, no matter where,
And no matter how difficult the obstacles are that are facing us and our families, we will not give up and we will not give in.
So if not now, then when? If not you, then who?
Welcome to the Momland Revolution.
All right, what do we do? The lights go out, the grid goes down. What do we do, moms? How do we prepare? We all need to be ready, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Okay, do any of us feel prepared now after all?
in the least.
No, not at all. And look, I mean, I thought having a well, I don't depend, my water doesn't come from the government. I have a solar panel. I'm not ready. I have chicken. I can kill them. I'm not ready.
And pigs.
And pigs.
And pigs. Yeah, I don't have no chickens.
I have
no
none
pigs.
of that. I'm gonna have to depend on other patriots to help us out because we're just not ready.
How do we get ready?
Well, I would just like to start this out with the fact that days gone by, everyone would harvest from their garden and they would have a pantry. And they would have a pantry that would be even good for 2-3 years. So this is an art that we've all lost. We all just run to the grocery store 3 times a week as we need it, or we order out, or we Uber Eat, or whatever we do in our family.
Too comfortable.
So we don't have pantries. And we don't prepare. I mean, I'm not canning my own food. I would like to. In fact, you see a lot of people doing that now.
Yes.
A lot of people are having chickens and pigs and, just kind of
Or
homesteading.
moving by fish and deer.
Right, homesteading. a little bit.
Yes, moving by fish and deer.
Yeah. So if we want to homestead, that has gotten hugely popular
has.
right now. And so
That and
none
the
of us
tiny
are
home
homesteading,
thing.
huh?
No,
It's
no.
scary popular, if you
Yeah.
ask me. It's scary popular. Like a lot of people are getting ready. It's like we all know it's coming.
You're
We
the
all know.
closest. You're the closest to homesteading because you have pigs and
Which
chickens.
is exactly why when I start seeing all this thing with COVID, and they close down the stores, and I'm not waiting for the next one. I'm having chickens, I'm having pigs, I have goats. I mean, I wouldn't need the goats to stinky, but if I have to, I will.
Well, if you want to
try
be rich,
grow.
add in toilet paper and tampons.
Right.
Yeah. So you've got chicken and pigs. Super impressed. Now, Kimberly and I, we're going to go over to you, Allie,
Oh,
too.
boy.
We
Don't come to
are,
me,
our
Skippy.
husbands and our families have been prepping.
Yeah.
So my husband, thank you very much, because I know when I run out of room and I get frustrated with, the powdered food coming regularly, I know I'm going to really appreciate it. But we have been prepping, meaning in case it all goes down, we have enough food, I think, for 8 months, my husband thinks.
Wow.
So that is huge. And he's freeze zippered, rice, pastas, all those things, condiments. And he really does have a nice little stack. A lot of things are in here. But I don't know how long it will for sure last. We're guessing. And how do you know? What do you have in yours?
We have MREs because Derek was in the military, so we got a lot of those. There's some great companies out there. My Patriot Supply is what we use a lot, but there's also other companies where they'll have deals that you do every month. So he'll stock up on those, and it's the pre-made meals that will last like 25 years. We have those.
Astronaut food.
Right, right. We also have the grains. We have a lot of grains in big buckets, legumes, things that we know that are going to be sustainable. But I realized the other day that we have all this wheat, and my wheat grinder's electric.
Oh no!
So I need
That's
to
not
get
gonna work out.
I need to get a manual wheat grinder.
Put that on the list on top of all the other things that we have to get and do. Will it get done? I don't know.
Oh gosh. And then how do you have to balance all that too, right? You have to have proteins and you have to have pinto beans are good.
And I
with
have
rice
diabetes,
and-
so
right.
I mean, if you have a special diet or if you have specific medication, I mean, you
Or
have
if
to
you're
think about
gluten-free, good Lord.
Well,
Right.
it's like, what do you eat? And this is how I started. When one of the ladies that from church who was doing this, she said, start with what you eat, and every time you go to the store, buy a little extra.
Yeah.
But the cans don't last as long, so you have to consider that. And
Although
so
My husband did open a can that was 20 years old, and he ate it. And he
Whoa.
did not die. He
Well,
did not
if
die.
it's not pumped up, if it's not bubbled,
That's
yeah.
funny.
If it's not bubbled up, you're safe.
Wow.
You're safe. But, okay, that's.
I think it was 17 years old.
I
It might
don't
be a little bit of exaggeration, but
I
it
don't
was
know. I
old.
don't
And
know.
I'm like, man, I hope you're around tomorrow, buddy. And he's like, these expiration dates, I don't think these are true. So mad, so
As he's
mad.
opening it, babe, update the insurance policy.
What about you, Allie?
Nope.
No prepping at all. Oh, my goodness. We all got
I mean,
get
no,
prepping.
we have a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's enough to sustain us for like
wait.
8 months.
Yeah.
My God. I mean, I have a 16-year-old who eats me out of house and home almost every week. So it's like,
Well, it wouldn't be the most exciting food, you know.
No, but
still, you can make it.
it's rough to figure out, especially with the inflation and not even having enough to like pay for certain other things. It's just, I don't think it's feasible for the average American to really actually prep the way that we need to prep for a situation like this. So, we're just, I don't think anybody is really ready.
Which I think it's part of the plan.
Absolutely.
It's part of the plan to have people not being able to even get ready, right? Like how many of us can actually put a bunk under their property? You know,
Right.
I'm blessed to have almost 4 acres, and I may be able to do that. The people have like large properties can do that, but I mean,
Most
the
people
majority of
can't.
people cannot. They live in these apartments. Everything's electrical. They don't even own the apartment. So
Well, I
think
remember
it's
what
perfect.
David said. If you get out of the city, get out of the concentrated,
So you have
the
room.
dense populations, because you go where there's room.
I mean, and then you need to make sure that you have gas, right? So you can get in your car and get somewhere
Yeah.
else, or even enough gas so that you can cook your own food or figure out how to start fires. I know we talked about this. So you need matches because it's difficult to start a fire if you don't know how to. So I think just learning some essentials, I think, will help prepare you for a situation like this. But
And
it's
they really-
overwhelming.
It is.
It is
And they really do have a lot of this all ready made. Like you can get, and we have this thing that you can purify your water with this
Right.
straw, and there's a
Right.
treatment for your water.
Okay.
There is fire starter packets that come
Right.
in little packets, and you can have, 100 of those, or 50 of those, or 40 of these. I think you
Well,
you
and they've
have
got
some
the
of
little
those.
tablets too, little water purifier tablets.
Right.
I mean, there are things out there, and I mean, everybody was asking, well, where do you go? And my Patriot Supply has a very good, well-rounded list of things that you can get. But if it's so easy to find, you just start Googling,
Well, I think we're gonna
food
have to
storage
do a whole
preparation.
episode on that.
We
I think
would.
We're gonna have to do
We,
that.
I
How to
no,
prep.
I agree. I agree.
think there's some things that we can just talk about that we know are simple.
Okay.
Flashlights.
Yeah.
Flashlights,
Matches.
Batteries.
Batteries, water supply. Like I don't know if you bought these, but my husband bought these big jugs, like barrels. So we have 3 barrels in our
Oh,
backyard.
wow.
So we can collect rainwater in there.
Right.
We haven't yet, but we can, because rainwater is a really good
Right.
option.
Satellite radio, I just thought of.
Yep, satellite radios on
Solar
here.
lights too. There's
Solar
a lot of
lights, yeah.
solar lamps now.
Medication. This here
That's
is something.
important.
So I'll just reveal a little bit of my secret. A couple times I mentioned to my doctor, hey, I'm running short. I did lose my medication one time, just so, not by accident, and then I actually found it, but just so I can get a little bit of a buffer of my medication. And it wasn't really lying. I did lose it. But I mean, I think like anyone that's on thyroid medication or diabetic, how do you get some extra medication to
Yeah,
store?
well, you can't go in and say I'm prepping for the zombie apocalypse because they don't prescribe
No.
on that.
Right.
Well, you can drive to Mexico and buy them.
Well, that's
That's a little
So,
dangerous.
Myra, we may need you
you
to
might
do that
need
for
a crew with you if you're going to go do that. We do not recommend that.
Yeah.
Go at your own risk.
But I did. I have a little stash of extra medicine that I've kind of collected
Right,
because of a couple
right.
circumstances. So I do have that, and that's really something
Oh,
to
I
worry
like
about.
this one: baby wipes and hand sanitizer.
That's a good
That
one.
one.
Good idea.
We did a radio, sleeping bags, spare blankets.
Battery
Emergency
power,
kits,
yeah, radio. we
guns,
talked about
guns,
that.
Guns and ammo.
Okay, this is going to sound nuts, but when you're in this situation, and we have been, so we did it on purpose. We did, I don't remember our church came up with this crazy idea, but it was 72 hours of no outside support. We kept our water,
Yeah,
we kept our
yeah,
lights,
yeah.
but we didn't go shopping. We didn't turn the lights on. We acted as if we had no electricity.
That's prepping.
Yes.
Training.
And we acted as if we had cold water, even though we had warm showers. So I'm like, it's not really the whole thing if you're not having a cold shower. But I realized that they need something to do. So if you have like the hurricane lamps, the kerosene lamps, we have some of those. So we had those and we had candles.
It was the most fun thing ever. We had a campfire outside. I mean, okay, it was only 3 days and it was fun. You know, if it's forever, maybe not so much. But we had games, like board games and books and
You need
things
stuff
that
the kids can do.
things that they could do. And you don't even think about putting stuff like that in a store.
That's what's
storage,
most concerning to me. I mean, I have my youngest ones. I mean, they're 10, 8, and 5. So like, what? Everything goes out. What am I going to do with my kid? They're going to fight each other in the backyard playing, UFC. So it's like, or boxing. I don't know what my kids are going to do. So we need to figure something out. I think that's important.
It does. It has on here playing cards.
Oh, does
books,
it? Good.
cool.
Games, dice, anything, puzzles. You have to have a little bit of
when you
for
start
everything.
prepping and the kids see you buying all this stuff, how do you keep them calm? I mean, we have grown kids, right? But Ali has small children. How do you keep them without panicking? I mean, because that could be shocking.
Yeah.
Like a little kid, a 6-year-old will
we
be
just
like,
have
is
all
the
this-
world going to end?
Well, for them, I think because we have a little section in our garage where we have all the stuff, right? And they see it all piled up nice and neat, and they're just like, in case of emergencies, because we live in Florida, so Florida is
hurricane.
we're always prepping for a hurricane. Apparently, this is going to be like the worst year, whatever. So they say that all the time. But they're just kind of used to it. If you explain it to them like we're just preparing for a natural disaster, like a hurricane or a tornado, or in case the electricity goes out, they kind of don't understand how we understand because they're so much younger and have not lived the lives that we have and don't have access to the information we have. So they take it a little bit different.
And that's true. It doesn't have to be that the world
Doom and
ends.
gloom.
Right. It could
Don't
be.
doom and gloom your kids.
Right. It
Maybe
could
your
be
husband loses a job, or
a
you just need a
hurricane,
a
right.
little bit of
Natural disaster.
extra plus. Okay, so this is something else that I learned because I have all these friends that have been doing this for a long time. It's called dry pack canning. And you can buy the system, but it's expensive. But there are places where you can go and do it, and they don't like some of the churches will do it. You don't have to.
Oh, wow.
They won't charge you. So you can go into these little storage, but you can literally take a package of Oreo cookies and put it in this number 10 can and seal it. And you can open it up 10 years later, and it'll be like you just got them at the store. I'm just saying, put Oreos in there for a treat every once in a while.
That's a good idea.
What about even just baking? I mean, these are some things that
Who
we've
even
lost,
does that?
Right.
Does anybody bake or cook anymore?
Well, the moms that are trying to rescue this nation from the communist regime that we've currently been captured by, we don't have time to bake, okay? Well, I've so many moms out there that would like to bake and would like to send us some goodies. We're always available.
Well, no, the reason why I'm thinking about this, and you're very funny with that, Allie, is a lot of moms are doing the sourdough breads.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it's like all over everything. So
it's so much fun to watch.
Right. Well, I've been making the sourdough bread too. And I think there's something to, I guess what I'm trying to get at is there's something to learning how to do something basic.
Yes.
Gardening.
Gardening,
Of
bread making, the
something
skills.
basic.
You said it at the beginning. These are lost arts, and there is actually a book series that I just recently bought. Okay, it was a Facebook ploy. I don't buy anything on Facebook. That's scary, but I'll see it on Facebook, then I'll go to Amazon.
Right. Because that's better, Kim.
I know. Amazon rules the world. But there's 4 books in the series, and it's the Lost Arts series. And it's amazing. And I've gone through it. I'm like, this is amazing. It shows you how to make a toilet and the backyard.
Nice.
It's just very, very cool things that you don't even think about. And they're right on the I have a whole prep shelf in my library.
Of course you do.
But there's also a book about home remedies. Like they have
that's good.
the doTERRA and things like that.
Yeah,
they have a book for that. So all these different companies have come up with home remedies.
Right.
What if you don't have?
Well, because a lot of our medicine comes from nature anyway.
Exactly.
It's just been hijacked by the pharmaceutical mafia. So we can, if we have that information, I mean, buy the book.
Your oregano,
Yes.
all of those.
It's all good
Lavender
and
for
important.
relaxation. All those things are just, again, back to the basics. I think we've all got to kind of connect back to a little bit of days gone by. So
I mean,
we
this
can't
will build our
rely
nation.
we can't rely on the grocery stores and everyone.
And the McDonald's line.
Right.
Ooh.
So there we go. No more McDonald's.
No more. Stop it. Oy.
All right, ladies, we got to go to break, and we're going to come back, and David's going to join us back on the couch. So
Awesome.
Stay with us.
What kind of America do you want to leave future generations? What do you want America to look like for your children and your grandchildren? Our nation is at a crossroads, and it will be us, the mothers of America, who will determine the future of our country. What we teach and nurture in the hearts of our children and how we vote will make all the difference. If you love God, respect life, honor family, and cherish freedom, then use your voice and be heard. We teach these values in our home. Let's secure them with our vote. So it's a big subject, but it's an important one. And that's why we feel it's really necessary that we talk about it here on the Mom View. And we want to keep talking about it. And I just love
Time to power up.
Time to power up. Power up. Mama Bears, power up. Okay, I love that. The Mama Bear Grid Warriors. We need a grid czar. We're all in. All right. Take away, Myra.
Well, it's very scary. I know that a lot of moms are going to watch this. And then we do have to also concentrate on the ones that will be like, well, if it's God's will.
Oh, boy.
And hold on. Like, we need to help ourselves, right? That's what he wants us to do, to help ourselves, right? Because I do know some very conservative religious people that think that it's God's will. Well, this is a cyber attack in God's will.
No, it's not.
So,
God helps those who help themselves.
Exactly. So we need to get ready, but we need to take action. We encourage to take action on many other things, since this is another one that we need to make our government accountable.
I think for me too, it's sharing the movie. Share the movie. No one's going to make this message more powerful than what you did in this film. So if we can share this movie with everyone, get everybody thinking about it, so one, they're prepared, and one, they take action and they can be a part of the answer. It's really share the movie for me.
Yeah, I agree.
For me, first, I want to say we all look great in these hats. I think you did. I think these are awesome. Petition your government. Get involved. Petition your government. Share the movie. Learn about it. Go to his website. Sign up so that you can fill out all the things. But also, take it from prior military. Train your family. If you do not have an action plan when this happens, if this happens, you're not going to know what to do. Right. Train your family on what to do, just like you do if there's a fire, right? Or if there's a hurricane. You want to train your kids, train your family on how to react. What are the necessary things we need to do? Train. That's the only way you can be prepared.
Yeah. I think it's important that we as parents create that calm within the storm. I do think it's important that we talk to them, but I also think that it's important that we empower them to realize that God is in charge. That is true. Sure. But we have to do everything that we can. It's that great phrase. We need to prepare as if it all depends on us and pray as if it all depends on God, because both are true. But when there is something that happens that is unsettling, we need to be that calm for our children so that they can navigate through it. So when we're sharing this with them, we need to consider that. How are we going to tell them about it? Tell them about it and say, but there are things that we can do, and we can always stand together. And there's nothing that we can't do when we're together and with God. So I guess that was my big takeaway. Get mad. Take action, but remember that when we unite together, we can make things happen, good things happen. So I'm grateful for you guys being here on the couch with us again today, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week. Yes. And remember to power up, Mama Bears. We'll see you next week on the Mom View.